Uncommon Sense with the Senior Delinquents.
Let's face it, if you were the kind of woman who chose me over the presidency, I wouldn't want you so crazily.
I'm just saying.
Jesus, Mayor.
She seemed to drive him nuts all the time. You said as much yourself.
Don't play games with me, General. I'll surrender. But only if you guarantee Lois his freedom.
Well, a guy dresses up like a bat clearly has issues.
This is Mark.
Dad, can you hear me? I'm in Hong Kong. Dad!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Uncommon Sense with the Senior Delinquents. I'm Dennis Silvers along with Jamie McWilliams, and you're dressed a little bit different for the show today, Jamie.
Mais oui, Dennis. Bonjour. Today we are having a show on the accent, so I thought, why not to use one myself? But I'm not really going to keep it up because we have a special guest who will give us lots and lots of accents.
Have you ever noticed, though, Jamie, speaking of that, when you watch movies, when you watch series, when you watch a documentary, how good these actors and actresses from England do American voices?
Let's put our cards on the table here, General.
They are amazing at it, but I learned a very interesting thing about accents a long time ago. When I was in graduate school in London for all summer, I had to do a paper and interview people, and I recruited a couple really nice Australian girls to help me with it, but I said, well, do an American accent so they don't think something's funny with it. They said, okay, we'll try. They tried, but what accent do you think it really sounded like regarding which part of the country as, quote, Americans they were from?
Well, I have no clue.
The South.
Shazam.
Really?
And the irony is that we think the English accent is so sophisticated, it makes you sound intelligent, and yet when we mock Americans, they'll usually be Southerners and say, golly. The fact is they're very close. They're closer than the normal American accent. That just opened my eyes and kind of set the stage, I think, for what we're doing today.
Oh, well, you know what? That's a very, very good starting point for the show today, Jamie.
It's Dr. Phil. Now listen, you need to get on my show. My ratings are going in the toilet.
We have one of the most talented impressionists with us to delve into this. A fellow Las Vegan, which is great. And he was on an earlier show of Senior Delinquents, best known for his fantastic impression of President Donald Trump. So my pleasure to introduce to everybody Mr. John DiDomenico.
Hello, everybody. So excited to be on. Tremendous show. It's doing great.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. President. I mean, John. Yeah. Well, Dennis, you know that John spent a lot of his professional life portraying a vast array of characters. And in doing so, it's a special talent. John, I want to ask you, when you pick a character, you have the look, you have the voice. Take us through the process of how you get to that performance level.
Well, for performance level, because I do a lot of corporate work, I always think about the character. Can I sell this to a corporate audience? So I would always zero in on characters that would work as broadly as possible. Somebody like Jay Leno.
All right, so you guys were fantastic. Coming up next, Kim Kardashian. I love her. All right, well, see you soon. Okay.
So when I started working on Jay Leno, I was thinking, can I get to a Jay Leno look? And, for that character, I used a prosthetic chin, and I had the wig made and worked with the makeup artist and the blue contact. And, hey, how you guys doing? Good to see you. Yeah. And then I work on the voice. And, one of the reasons I'm an impressionist, I was a kid. I was doing impressions when I was 5 years old, but I had a severe speech impediment. And I spent 8 years in speech therapy. And during that time, as they were correcting my speech, I was taking all that information, thinking, oh, well, this is how you do this. And this is, throat placement, and nasal placement, and vocal production, and all of these things that go into speaking properly, I was using to learn a voice. And, Trump seems to be the perfect voice.
That's got to be the dumbest strategy I've ever heard in my life.
He's got the whole thing with the throat, he's got it gravelated. And he's got the Northeast nasality, and then he over enunciates and he speeds up and slows down. And these are all the components that you learn when you're trying to break down a voice. What is their cadence? Where are they speaking? Are they in the back of the throat? Mike Myers, who is obviously doing a own made-up character, but someone like Austin Powers, baby, he's pushing his voice out.
How much? Two things. Number one, did you drive your therapist crazy doing impressions while they were trying to correct your speech?
Well, yeah, yes and no. They loved the fact that I was actively working, trying to figure it out, because I was making their job easier in the sense that they could see actual improvements, because all of a sudden I would be doing, I'm doing Columbo. Peter Falk talked about the fact that his Columbo was actually a Humphrey Bogart impression.
Really?
Interesting.
And Humphrey Bogart and Jay Leno both had speech impediments. When Bogart talked, he had that way of speaking because his tongue was always behind the palate. So when he was doing what Peter Falk was doing Columbo, he was essentially moving his tongue to the back of his palate to create that kind of sound. So I'm always looking for those things in different voices that I can break down to the point of where are they in the nasal placement? Where are they in the throat placement? Where are they in the vocal production? Where is the sound hitting? So you're looking for those elements that make the voice sound as close to them as possible in the production of it.
Well, in picking up impediments, I've heard of gaydar, but not speechdar. That's a new one on me.
Because it's like sometimes I'll hear a comedian or something go, oh, that guy. You just know.
What is roughly the time to develop a character?
If it's just the voice, if you work on it all the time, it takes about a month. And if you're doing something physical, Ozzy Osbourne, Sharon! I need to find a wig. I need to find the right clothes. And then Ozzy's going to, he's progressively getting worse.
Yeah.
But, you want it to be a authentic representation of the person.
You know what they say. They always go in threes. Help me! Help me! Someone is going to get fired. That means, Little Richard, you're fired. Mercy! Mercy!
That is great. We're going to take a short commercial break. We come back, we'll have a lot more with our very special guest, Mr. John DiDomenico. Stay with us.
I live in the Villages.
And I've lived in the Villages longer.
But I like the Villages because it's got so much to offer.
And there's going to be so much more that you're going to learn about the Villages. So many surprises coming to you this summer with Golf and Safari.
One of the things you want to look for will be features from the Senior Delinquents and myself on a couple publications you might want to check out. In Florida and the South, there's Southern Golf. If you're up north in New England, check out New England Golf and the Senior Delinquents on that site. You'll be glad you did.
One of the world's finest impressionists, Joe Alaskey.
And away we go. This is it. It's hot. I can feel it. The big one. Hey.
Captain's log. Star dates 1988.89.
John, working with Joe Alaskey, one of the best people in the world. But when we did the show and he did Andy Rooney, he did a very subdued Andy Rooney. But I was pushing him to do a bigger Andy Rooney. The next day he came back and said, you're right. For the audience watching it, they need to see the character bigger than life. Do you fight with that at all, saying, I could do the character perfectly realistically, but I know for the audience, I have to make it something larger than life?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. I obviously do Trump. I've done Trump all over the world, and I have to amp it up a little bit for on camera. On stage, if I'm playing to a room of 3,000 sales reps, that's actually close to his rally. bring the performance down, live audience. And I had 5 years on Conan. One of the things I battled with the creative team was, you got to go faster. Trump, he doesn't talk that fast. To answer your question, yes, you have to modulate it.
Ladies have never held any charm for me.
First you take a low common advantage of me, then you insult me.
I meant it as a compliment.
How dare you?
She started the ball rolling. Now, when you look at these performances, I have to single out one. And this, to me, was a performance that just blew my mind.
Your union, sir, is bonded in canon for on death.
It may be all right. Mightn't that save at least the idea of democracy to aspire to? At all rates, whatever may be proven by blood and sacrifice must have been proved by now. Shall we stop this bleeding?
What astounded me was not that he won the Academy Award, but the little gestures and nuances and things like that. I don't know how you get to that level.
I literally had this conversation with some people recently.
I'm a big fat guy who has children on my knee. Ho, ho, ho.
British and Australian actors. When you say, I want to pursue an acting career, you're giving those people like Daniel Day-Lewis this incredible runway. So they have this foundational training in voice, movement, physicality, years before most American actors will get the opportunity to learn those things. Now, I'm a professional impressionist. I've done it my entire adult life, did it since I was 5. Never in high school, in college, anywhere was there any impression classes. It's amazing how many American films, how many shows on Netflix, Hulu, half the cast is British and Australian doing incredible American accents. But you don't have the reverse. It doesn't go both ways. It goes one way.
Yeah, that's very well said, John. I've got a question for you. Is there somebody on your wish list that you would like to do and have tried, but maybe just have found it impossible, or it's just not working out for you?
I think about it all the time. And since I do Trump, people are constantly asking me about Joe Biden. Hey, Joe Biden. Hey, buddy. Hey, that's the whisper, popcorn. But I haven't been able to break it. So I'm always looking for somebody. But there's, I would say my wish list is actually pretty long at this point.
As you get older, the audiences get younger. How do you look at trying to keep current? Is it a winning battle or a losing battle? How do you gauge it?
It's a losing battle in the sense that as we move on in time, we've hit this point where there's 6, 7, 8, 10 streaming platforms just for movies. My nieces and nephews, they don't even watch linear television. Prior to cable, when you had 3 networks, 2 UHF stations, and Rich Little, who lives here in Vegas, as Dennis probably knows, he's doing his same act from 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yep.
Timeless characters, but if you go in there and you're 25, you don't know 75% of his act.
Correct.
All right, guys. Well, it's great having you on Larry King Live.
Yeah. Great having you on, John. Great seeing you.
Always a pleasure.
Well, Jamie, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Senior Delinquents. And check us out on our website and on YouTube. And wait a minute, Jamie, what have you got in your glass?
Well, not my usual martini, because with the show being about accents, I thought cognac, much better choice. So, hi-ho, Silvers, allez.